My name is Kendall and welcome to this week's Kids Who Code. Today we're going to be doing a special project which is making a Mother's Day card on Scratch. So let's go get coding. The first thing we'll need to do before we start coding is create a Scratch account if you don't already have one. So using the link in the description, it should bring you to this page, which is the Scratch homepage. Scratch is just another program that we can use to code. So, up in the upper right hand corner, there's a place where it says Join Scratch. If you don't already have a Scratch account, this is where you start. So click on Join Scratch. Here, you can make a username, and you can create a password. Once you've done both, you can click on Next. Next, you'll want to fill out all the information that it asks you for, and then choose a good email address. You might want to use your parents' email address if you don't have one yet. Next, we can go to get started. Once you've signed in, you'll be brought back to the home page. To start a new program, which is what we're going to do today, in the upper left-hand corner is a button that says Create. If you click on that button, it'll just take a second, and now you have a new project. When you're done with this, we'll move on to the first step of our code. The first thing we'll do is get rid of our little cat right here. We don't need him for our card. Once you do that, on the right-hand side, there's a little spot that says Backdrops. I want you to choose 2 different backdrops for your card. So, we are going to be focusing today on a Mother's Day card, but you could really choose anything you want. So I'm going to pick one background for the beginning of my card, which I'm going to do the heart. And then once you pick one that you like, you're going to go back to choose a backdrop and pick another one. You could search for anything you want, like flowers, or hearts, or you can just scroll through what they have. For my second one, I'm going to choose the galaxy. So now, if you go up to the upper left side, there's a little button that says Backdrops. If you click on that, you will see both of your backdrops that you chose. The first backdrop is a blank one, so you can press the trash button, and now you'll have 1 and 2 backdrops. Once you're happy with your backdrops, go back to the Code tab. The first thing we're going to do is make it so that your backdrop sets when you press the green flag go button. So if you go to Events, these are blocks that happen when the code starts or when something happens. So we're going to use when flag clicked like this, so that when you press the green flag button to start the code, everything under that occurs. So under that one, we're going to go to Looks on the left, which is the purple blocks, and you're going to choose Switch Backdrop to. Click on it, drag it underneath the yellow block. Then we can choose whichever backdrop we want to start the card with. I want to start with my heart backdrop. So that's all we need to get our code started. This way, if you start on the other backdrop, or if you end on that one, when you click the green flag again, it'll go straight to this backdrop. So now that you're done setting up your backdrops, we're going to go on to the next step. Now that we have both of our backdrops, we are going to create what's called a variable. A variable is basically something in your code that stores something else. So in this case, we're going to make a variable called page. And press OK. So I clicked on make a variable, typed in page, and now I'm going to show you how we're going to use this variable in our program. Then, to make sure it's set to the right page, which is this one, we're going to use this orange block that says set my variable to blank. We want the hearts to be the first page. So we're going to set page to 1. So now the hearts is page 1. Now that you're done with that, our backdrop is ready to go when our card begins. Next, we're going to add some text and some characters. So let's go. So, if you go to the bottom of your screen, there's this little button that says Choose a Sprite. I want you to click on that green button, and now you have a bunch of things you can choose from that are objects or animals or people. We're going to pick one that we want to use on our card. I'm going to use the monkey. So now, your monkey's in your card, and you can move him however you want. When you go to the Costumes tab up at the top, you can also add text. So on the middle of the screen here is a place where you can edit your picture. I'm going to use the bar to scroll up above the monkey and select the T box, which is meant for text. When you've selected T, you can click on the page and it'll start a new place for you to type. So I'm going to type Happy Mother's Day. If you want to change the color of the text, you can highlight it, and then the little box up on the upper left has the color. So I'm going to highlight this, and then here I can change fill to whatever color I want. So I can just make it darker or lighter, or I can change the color entirely. I like this purple. You can also click on it and move it downward if you want it to be somewhere else. So I click on the arrow and then move it down. I think it looks good there. So if you're happy with how it looks, I want you to go back to the code tab. We're going to kind of do what we did with the backdrop, and we're going to set this character with the text as page 1. So we're going to go back to the events block, and we're going to do another when flag clicked. Then, the next thing we're going to use is called an if statement. We're going to use this one here that says if blank, then, space, else, space. So I want you to drag this in here, and then I'll explain what it does. So, an if-else statement makes your code choose between two different outcomes of something that can happen. So, if one thing happens, then the code will do this. If that doesn't happen, then the code is going to do something else. So the first thing that we want to put in here is our variable that we made earlier. If you go to the green button that says operators, we need something to compare the first page with the second page. You can see right here is 3 different diamond-shaped blocks that all have this mathematical operator in it. That means either greater than, less than, or equal to. We're going to use the equal to pointy block. So if you take that, you can drag it into your if statement like this. From there, we can fill in the white spaces. In the first part, I want you to go back to variables, and you can see that our page variable is still here. We're going to put that in the first slot. And then we want to do if our page is equal to a number. So think, we set the heart backdrop to page 1. So if we want the monkey and the text to be set to page 1, we want to make sure that page is equal to 1. In order to change it if it's not at page 1, we are going to start with if page is equal to 2. So this means that it's on the wrong page for the start of the card. In that case, we are going to make it so that it switches to the right page. For the second part of our card, we're going to make another character with our second backdrop. So I want you to click on backdrops in the bottom right, and then we can go here to backdrops at the top and click on galaxy. Now that we have our other backdrop selected, we're going to go back down to our monkey and go to costumes. So you can see I have 3 versions of the monkey here. I am going to get rid of these 2, and now I only have 1 version of my monkey. What you can do now is select a different sprite to put on your second page. So here we have choose a costume, and I'm going to go and choose something else. So I chose my monkey again, but this time he looks a little bit different. I'm going to move him around on the screen like this, and I can add text again. So I'm going to add another saying on the second part of my card. Then I can look and see it on my card. So I can tell that the purple is kind of hard to read. This is where I'm going to change the color like I was showing you guys how to do earlier. I think that the white is a lot easier to read. The last thing that I want to do is tilt my monkey. So once I go back to the cursor icon, I can click and drag to select my whole monkey, like so, and then there's a little rotate button at the bottom. So I can rotate him like this. I'm going to go almost sideways so it looks like he's flying through space. So now I have my monkey and I like how it says, "You're out of this world." If you go back to the code, we're going to continue with our if statement and I'll show you how to change it from the first monkey to the second monkey. So as we were saying, if the page is equal to 2, then we want the second monkey that goes to the second page to be together. So if page equals to 2, we're going to go to the purple blocks and do switch costume to monkey B. Then, if you think about it, if it's not going to page 2, then it must be at page 1. And if it's at page 1, we want to switch costume to monkey A. So, now we have our if statement. If the page is equal to 2, we want to switch to this monkey, which is monkey B. But if it's not equal to page 2, that means we're on page 1, and we want the costume to be set to the first monkey. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add what's called a loop. So a loop is exactly what it sounds like. It'll make something repeat over and over and over again. Today we're going to use a forever loop. That means that it's always going to repeat this action whenever we click the start button. So we're going to drag our whole if statement inside of our forever loop. This way, whenever the page gets switched, the right monkey will be with the right page. So now your costume is all set with your backdrop. The last thing we're going to do is we're going to add a button so that it switches from page 1 to page 2 when they're done reading the beginning of the card. So let's go do that. So first, to add a button, we need to add a new sprite. So I'm going to go down to the bottom where it says choose a sprite, and I'm just going to search for button. I like this gray one. So now you can see there's a button on your screen. I'm going to put it down here in the right. If we go back to that costumes tab, you can add text into the button, just like we were doing with the pictures. So I'm going to click on the T for text, and then click on the button. Then I can type in next. I'm also going to change the color of my button. You can also change the size, like this. When you're happy with how your next button looks, go back to your code. We are going to make sure that our button shows up when we start the code, and then does what it's supposed to do, which is flip the page, and then goes away. So first we're going to start with events, and we're going to do the same old when green flag clicked. The only thing we need to put here is in our looks tab, which is the purple ones, there's a small button when you scroll down that says show. We're going to drag that under our when flag clicked. This just makes sure that when the card first starts, our button can be seen. Then we want to code our button when it's clicked. So remember when I was talking about those event blocks earlier? Now we're going to use it by saying when button clicked instead of when flag clicked. So here you can see when this sprite clicked. We're going to use that one. So let's see. What do we want to happen? We want the page to switch. So we're going to go to the purple looks tab, and there's a switch backdrop to. So we're going to do switch backdrop to galaxy because that's our second page. And then we are going to do something with our variable, which is setting it to page 2. So I'm going to go to control, and then down here, I'm going to go to variables, and then here I can do set, and then choose it to page, and then we're going to do 2. The last thing we're going to do is go back to that looks tab, and then all the way down by the show block, there's a hide block. We're going to click on that. So then the button won't be on the second page. So when we set page to 2, that's because some of our other code used the variable. So if you remember, if we go back to the monkey, if we set the page to 2, then this if statement will know to change the costume to monkey B. Or, if you think about the backdrop, we started by setting it to 1 so that the monkey would go to the first one. So, that's what that block does. Now that we've done all of our code, we are going to test it out and see what our card looks like. So you can see here that I have my first monkey but my second backdrop. So, if this works, when we press the green button, it should go to the first backdrop and the first monkey, and then when you press the next button, it'll go to the second backdrop and the second monkey. So let's try it out. Press the green flag button. Great! So we have Happy Mother's Day with the first monkey, and then I'm going to click next, and we get the second backdrop with our second monkey. So congratulations, you've made your Mother's Day card. I hope that you were able to make a super cool card for your mom for Mother's Day. Plus, you can also use this code to make cards in the future, like birthday cards. Thank you for watching this week's Kid2 code. I hope you guys enjoyed making Mother's Day cards, and I hope that you can use the code in the future. If you have any questions, you can email MetaSpace511, and I'll answer them in the email or in the next video. So, thanks for coding with me today. I hope you had fun, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!